Chapter 1. Forced into a substitute marriage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Forced into a substitute marriage. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Qingqing, I hope you will reconsider. As long as you marry her, I will take out a portion of the 2 million yuan betrothal gift to treat your adoptive mother's illness. Otherwise, you also understand that your adoptive mother's illness cannot be sustained without taking those imported drugs. Bei Qingqing was listening to these words. It sounded gentle, and there was some concern in her tone. In fact, she was using Bei Qingqing's adoptive mother as a threat to push her into the fire pit. She had to marry Qin Jiaji, who had been in a coma for many years. There was only one ending for a marriage like that, to be a widow. There was no other way. Bei Qingqing needed money to buy those expensive medicines to maintain her foster mother's condition. I'll marry. Bei Qingqing clenched her fists and answered with a trembling voice. Her pair of clear and bright eyes were filled with tears. She looked very pitiful. Unfortunately, her biological mother ignored her. Instead, she smiled happily and patted Bei Qingqing's hand. Good, that's good. Don't worry. The Qin family has the same status as us. If you marry them, there will be benefits. The corners of Sun Hongmei's mouth twitched. She twisted her willow-like waist and went to the living room to greet the Qin family's butler. All right, Butler Zhang. Then I'll have to trouble you to bring my daughter back. Sun Hongmei wore a lot of jewels and was full of pride. Bei Qingqing followed behind Sun Hongmei, lowering his head and not saying a word. Butler Zhang bowed respectfully and said, What are you saying, madam? It's no trouble at all. We didn't give the eldest miss a grand wedding, and all we're doing is sending her over to stay. Our Qin family should be doing more for you. So, please, it's no trouble at all. Bei Qingqing raised her head and looked at the butler. He was decent and his words were watertight. She could not help but feel a little curious. If this butler of the Qin family was so powerful, then what would the master of the Qin family look like? The black limousine drove steadily on the road and stopped at the villa in the center of the city. Bei Qingqing followed Butler Zhang's recommendation and came to the living room of the Qin family's villa. The smell of Chinese medicine is so strong. As soon as Bei Qingqing entered, she could clearly smell the strong scent of herbs. It was as if she had entered a Chinese medicine store. The butler smiled and explained, the eldest young master has been unconscious and the old master has been sending people to use Chinese medicine to treat him, so the villa will naturally have this smell. Do you mind? I don't mind, I don't mind. After all, I married here to take care of Qin Jiaji. Why would I mind? Bei Qingqing pursed her lips and quickly waved her hand. She was very clear about her position. That's good. Since the First Lady says so, I'll also explain further about how to take care of the eldest young master, Butler Zhang explained while leading the way. First, the eldest young master needs a wipe on his body with Chinese medicine, and to soak his feet every morning and night. The Chinese medicine that is brewed is next door to your bedroom. It's very convenient. Second, you need to take the young master for a walk in the sun regularly to observe his condition. You need to report to the doctor every once in a while. Okay, I'll take note of all this. Bei Qingqing nodded seriously. All right, First Lady, this is the young master's room. It's getting late, you should rest first. Let me know if there's anything you need. Butler Zhang nodded and left. Bei Qingqing was left alone in front of the door. After some hesitation, she pushed open the bedroom door. The room was black and gray, and there was not much light. Bei Qingqing fumbled for the light switch. When she turned it on, she saw the man lying on the bed. Her curiosity was piqued. She stood in front of the window and scrutinized Qin Jiaji. The man had his eyes closed. His eyelashes were long and slender, and his features were clear and sharp. His facial features were exquisite. Perhaps it was because he had been in a coma for a long time, but his skin was a little cold and white. He looked like a work of art carved by the heavens. Chen Jiaji. Bei Qingqing muttered her husband's name and then sighed. It seemed that the heavens had not been kind to let such a handsome man sleep forever. Bei Qingqing remembered the butler's instructions and went to the Chinese medicine room to prepare the required medicine. Then, she wiped Chen Jiaji's body. If you had not fainted, perhaps someone else would have married you, and not me. Bei Qingqing unbuttoned Chen Jiaji's shirt, revealing his strong chest and the slightly thin lines of his muscles. It made her feel a little shy. She could not help but sigh at the joke of fate. If Chen Jiaji had not been in an accident and become a vegetable, her family would not have asked her to marry him. She had married Chen Jiaji in her sister's place. It was a substitute marriage for the sake of her sister's happiness. In fact, Bei Qingqing had never understood. When she was young, she had been separated from her parents. When she returned home at the age of 18, she should have been doted on by her parents. However, for some unknown reason, after she was lost, her parents went to a welfare institute to adopt another daughter. Now, it seemed that the Bei family actually loved their adopted daughter even more, and they made it difficult for Bei Qingqing. Even as a biological daughter, Bei Qingqing could not compare to Bei, who was just an adopted daughter. In the end, Bei Qingqing had to marry into the Chen family for the medical expenses of her adoptive mother. Bei Qingqing could not understand it, so she simply did not dwell on those unhappy things. She focused on taking care of Chen Jiaji and finished the tasks that the butler had instructed her to do. She was already physically and mentally exhausted. After washing up briefly, she lay on the other side of the bed, her eyelids gradually grew heavier. She did not know how long she had slept. In her daze, she suddenly felt a chill on her face. It was as if someone was touching her. Who was it? Bei Qingqing instantly woke up. When she opened her eyes, she actually saw another man sitting by the bed. Chapter 2. Don't touch me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 2. Don't touch me. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, Get Lost. Bei Qingqing was so scared that she broke out in a cold sweat. She quickly got up and covered her body with her hands. Then, the smell of alcohol came from the man's body. Bei Qingqing frowned and scolded him, Chen Jingji. What are you doing here? Get out of here. When Bei Qingqing saw the man in front of her clearly, she remembered the playboy who was in the same class as her. His name was Chen Jingji, the second young master of the Chen family. He was also the younger brother of her current husband. However, their personalities were vastly different. Chen Jiaji was famous, while Chen Jingji was just a good .4.nothing hooligan. Qingqing, don't be angry. I heard that you got married, so I came here to congratulate you. However, marrying a vegetable like my brother. It's not a good wedding night, is it? Chen Jingji reeked of alcohol, and his cheeks were red. Seeing Bei Qingqing's frightened face, he became even more excited and even started to tease her in a playful tone. Bei Qingqing could not help but feel disgusted. This man, apart from his face that looked somewhat similar to Chen Jiaji, was nothing like Chen Jiaji at all. Bei Qingqing's eyes darkened. She knew that Chen Jingji had no respect for seniority, propriety, justice, and shame in his heart. Now that he had drunk alcohol, she did not know what he would do. She reprimanded him sternly, since you know that I'm married, you should call me sister. In law. Since you know that tonight is my wedding night with Chen Jiaji, you should leave immediately. Bei Qingqing spoke righteously and prepared to chase Chen Jingji out. Unexpectedly, Chen Jingji snorted coldly with a face full of disdain, Qingqing, are you stupid? My big brother is a vegetable and a waste. What's so good about you being my sister? In law. I really don't understand you. As he spoke, he laughed proudly. Such a beautiful face should be kissed and pampered by men. If you follow me, you will have a share of the Chen family's property in the future. It will be 100 times more comfortable than being a widow here. When Chen Jiaji was awake in the past, Chen Jingji was not liked by his family because of his stubbornness. Now that his big brother was a vegetable, even if he had all kinds of bad things, the Chen family's property could only fall into his hands. This undoubtedly made him even more bold and unbridled. Bei Qingqing's exceptionally fair features could be seen under the light, and her delicate face could be described as exquisite. Especially at this moment, when she widened her eyes to look at him out of anger, she appeared even more innocent and cute. She inexplicably seduced Chen Jingji to walk forward. Step by step, he walked toward her, cornering her. In school, Chen Jingji had pursued so many girls. Bei Qingqing's temperament and appearance were very unique, which made his heart palpitate. However, she refused to budge and did not even look at him. It was really a pity that such a beautiful woman was going to marry his useless elder brother. That was why he dared to get drunk and come here to misbehave. Bei Qingqing widened her eyes and took several steps back. She was nervous as she gripped her clothes tightly and clenched her fists. Chen Jingji, you'd better not do anything rash. You should know how your brother acts. When he wakes up, he will definitely not let you off. Bei Qingqing knew that she could not force him, so she simply lowered her voice and threatened him coldly. It was true that Chen Jiaji was currently in a coma, but that did not mean that he would never wake up. She had heard a lot about his way of doing things, his ruthless ways. It would probably be able to intimidate this extremely perverted drunkard in front of her. However, Chen Jiaji raised his head and laughed loudly. He did not care at all and forced Bei Qingqing into a corner. He held her with both his hands and carefully looked at her delicate little face. He said disdainfully, "My dear sister. Lol. If you had said that in the past, I would have been scared out of my wits. Now, Chen Jiaji is in a vegetative state. The doctor said that he might never wake up again, so, what do you think I'm afraid of? Don't worry, everything in the Chen family is mine. I will inherit all of his previous assets, including you. With me, I won't mistreat you." Chen Jingji lowered his head to kiss Bei Qingqing. "Chen Jingji. If you dare touch me, I'll make you regret it." Bei Qingqing struggled with all her might, reaching out to touch the vase on the table and smashing it at Chen Jingji. Pa! With a crisp sound, Chen Jingji's forehead immediately bled. Chapter 3. You won't be able to escape tonight. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. You won't be able to escape tonight. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, bitch. How dare you hit me? Chen Jingji was now the only heir of the Chen family, so he could get any woman he wanted. Now that he was rejected so firmly by Bei Qingqing, he could not bring himself to lose face. He stood up and wiped the blood from his forehead. He looked at Bei Qingqing with a fierce expression. Bei Qingqing had never fought before. When he saw Chen Jingji getting injured, she was also quite frightened. She did not expect the man in front of her to be so shameless. He actually walked towards her again. "Bei Qingqing, with me, you are the rightful first lady. Be sensible and don't be ungrateful." Chen Jingji smiled with a bit of mischievousness. He did not care that Chen Jiaji was still on the bed. "You. Let go of me. Bastard." Naturally, the petite Bei Qingqing could not break free from Chen Jingji's strength. Helplessly, she could only scream, "Help! Help!" With this shout, Chen Jingji immediately panicked. Although his big brother was now in a vegetative state, there were many servants in the villa. Moreover, there was also a trusted butler. If he called for help, his father would definitely not let him off. In a moment of desperation, Chen Jingji threw Bei Qingqing aside, trying to use violence to subdue her. He threatened, "Shut up. Call for help, and I'll say that you seduced me." Bei Qingqing's body could not withstand Chen Jingji's strength, and she fell to the side of the bed. Chen Jiaji was lying quietly by the side of the bed. By accident, Bei Qingqing was actually thrown onto Chen Jiaji. The two of them leaned against each other, and her red lips happened to fall onto Chen Jiaji's lips. They kissed for a moment. This was Bei Qingqing's first kiss. Realizing what had happened, she immediately raised her head and left Chen Jiaji's sexy thin lips. Under the dim light, Chen Jiaji's long eyelashes looked even more exquisite. The strong bridge of his nose and the firm lines on his face caused people to be intoxicated by his stunning appearance. Bei Qingqing looked at the handsome face that was right in front of her. Even if it was just a simple touch of the lips, the soft touch could not help but linger in Bei Qingqing's mind, causing two blobs of red to float on her face. Good, Bei Qingqing. You're resisting me with your life and throwing yourself into my brother's arms like this. Do you think a vegetable can give you the happiness that you're looking for? Chen Jingji was so angry that he was half sober. Seeing that Bei Qingqing was actually flirting with the vegetable big brother in front of him, his heart suddenly felt a surge of anger. To her, he could not compare to Chen Jiaji, an inhumane vegetable. Bei Qingqing only came back to her senses when she heard Chen Jingji's voice and left Chen Jiaji's embrace. Her voice was cold as she said, "Chen Jingji, if you're really fearless, why did you stop me from screaming? Aren't you afraid that the butler will come and teach you a lesson, you shameless bastard? You don't have to say these things. You won't be able to escape tonight anyway." Chen Jingji did not have a shred of rationality at this moment. How could he hold back when facing the beautiful woman in front of him? Moreover, he had long been fed up with the days when he had to lower his head and submit to her. This time, no matter what he said, he would not let Bei Qingqing off. Oh! Let go! Bei Qingqing was caught off guard and was actually pressed onto the bed by Chen Jingji. Even though she struggled with all her might, she still could not escape. Thinking of what was about to happen, Bei Qingqing was angry and helpless. She fought desperately. However, just as Chen Jingji placed his hand on her collar and was about to tear her clothes to shreds, he suddenly felt as if he had seen a terrifying scene. He stopped moving and stammered, "Big brother." Bei Qingqing seized the opportunity and kicked him down. She was still in shock as she pulled up her clothes and looked at him with hostility. Chen Jingji, on the other hand, seemed to be dumbfounded. He sat on the ground and looked at her in fear. Bei Qingqing suddenly realized something. With an incredulous look in her eyes, she turned her head to look at the man blankly. The exquisite man who was lying on the bed just now had actually sat up, and he was looking at them with contempt. Chapter 4. Do you want to die? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. Do you want to die? Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. What, Chen Jingji, you're doing such a thing on my bed? Do you want to die? Chen Jiaji sized up the man and woman in front of him with his phoenix-like eyes. Chen Jiaji did not know Bei Qingqing. However, how could Chen Jiaji not know Chen Jingji, his biological younger brother? Chen Jiaji's eyes darkened, containing an infinite chill, like a glacier that would not melt for 10,000 years. The temperature of the entire room seemed to drop by more than 10 degrees. Chen Jingji and Bei Qingqing shivered. Big brother. Chen Jingji was so scared that his face turned pale. The remaining alcohol turned into cold sweat and evaporated completely. The only thing left in his mind was the fear and terror of facing Chen Jiaji. He could not help but retreat repeatedly until he tripped over the stool under his feet and fell to the ground. He knew that he could not escape, so he quickly got up and knelt down to beg for mercy. With a sobbing tone, he said, big brother, please let me go. I didn't do it on purpose." Anyone who heard Chen Jiaji's name would feel a lingering fear. Moreover, Chen Jingji was actually on his big brother's bed right now and wanted to rape his sister. Lol. Chen Jiaji would definitely not let him off with such a crime. Even if they had no brotherly relationship, no man would tolerate having a cuckold on his bed. Chen Jiaji frowned slightly, feeling a little unhappy. He sized up Bei Qingqing's appearance. She had a small cherry mouth, a pair of big, watery eyes, and delicate facial features. Now, her small face was frowning as if she had been wronged. She lowered her head, and for some reason, it made Chen Jiaji feel a little pity. However, Chen Jiaji did not expect the woman in front of him to be his substitute wife. He thought that she was a servant who took care of him, so he was not very angry. He was just annoyed that Chen Jingji was so presumptuous. How dare he do such a thing in his room and on his bed? Are you okay? Chen Jiaji's deep and sexy voice entered Bei Qingqing's ears. Bei Qingqing raised her head and met Chen Jiaji's beautiful eyes. His eyes seemed to hide the sea of stars, but also seemed to contain a lake. It was extremely mysterious. I'm fine. Bei Qingqing shook her head and answered subconsciously. After receiving Bei Qingqing's answer, Chen Jiaji nodded. Then, he raised his eyebrows and turned to Chen Jingji. Although the victim was fine, the perpetrator was unforgivable. Chen Jingji had been ignorant and incompetent since he was young. In order to achieve his goal, he would do anything. In order to get all the assets of the Chen family, he had even tried to murder Chen Jiaji. It was not that Chen Jiaji did not know about these things, but because of their brotherhood, he would only punish him slightly every time. However, now that Chen Jingji was acting in a manner that was worse than a beast, he was not going to show mercy. Big brother, believe me. Bei Qingqing was the one who seduced me first. I'm really innocent. Big brother, you are like father. I have respected you since I was young. I would never do such a thing. If this woman had not seduced me, I would not have lost control of myself. Chen Jingji looked into his big brother's eyes. That pair of calm eyes could see through people's thoughts with a single glance. It gave goosebumps. He was so scared that his entire body trembled. Get out. Chen Jiaji's words were clear and concise. Just these simple words provided so much pressure. Chen Jingji felt as if he had been pardoned. He immediately stood up, bowed, and was about to walk out the door. Yes. Big brother, I'll leave right now. Although he said nice things, he was secretly glad. It seemed that his big brother was going to let him go. He was hoping to get lucky and escape, but he was suddenly stopped. I said, get out from there. Chen Jiaji reached out his hand and pointed at the window at the side. Chapter 5. You're bullying my woman. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. You're bullying my woman. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, what? Chen Jingji's jaw dropped in shock. He did not expect his brother to be so ruthless even though he had been in a coma for so many years. He did not leave any leeway for anything. The joy he felt just now vanished into thin air. Brother. The height this window to the ground is at least 3 or 4 stories high. If I fall, I'll die if I fall. After all, we're brothers. We share the same mother. Please let me live, Chen Jingji said. With a plop, he knelt on the ground and begged for mercy. If he jumped from such a high place, he would be half crippled even if he did not die. Chen Jiaji snorted coldly. His smile was contemptuous as if it was a judgment from hell. You'll only break one leg if you jump from here. Chen Jingji, I'm breaking one leg of yours because we are brothers of the same mother. If my men came to deal with you, do you think it would only be a matter of one leg? Chen Jiaji's voice was cold, it was reasonable, but there was a hint of threat and arrogance. This arrogance was reflected in his every move. He was born with the temperament of a king. I'll jump. Chen Jingji naturally knew his big brother's methods and the power of his men. He had no choice but to clench his fists, clench his teeth, and come to the bedside. He made up his mind and jumped down. Ah! Bei Qingqing took a deep breath and subconsciously let out a gasp of surprise. However, she knew that this was not the time to make a fuss. She could only cover her mouth with her hand in surprise. They were on the third or fourth floor of the building, and Chen Jingji had jumped down just like that. She had long heard that Chen Jiaji's methods were cruel and that he did not care about anything. Now, she finally witnessed the so-called living Hell King style of doing things. It seemed that the days ahead would not be easy. What are you shouting for? Chen Jiaji hated women who made a fuss the most. He turned his head and sternly berated her. Bei Qingqing immediately shut up. She widened her eyes and pouted innocently. Chen Jiaji used the light to carefully observe Bei Qingqing. The corner of his mouth actually revealed an imperceptible smile. Now that took a clear look at Bei Qingqing, he somewhat understood Chen Jingji's behavior. This time, consider it your reward for taking care of me. Go and find Butler Zhang. I'll pay you double of this month's salary, Chen Jiaji said faintly. He had just woken up and finished dealing with Chen Jingji. He felt a little tired and did not want to say anything more. When Bei Qingqing heard Chen Jiaji's words, she was puzzled. Did this person treat her as a servant? He was going to pay her double the salary. Although she came here to be a real nanny, she was still Chen Jiaji's wife. Do you think I'm a servant? Bei Qingqing pursed her lips and explained to Chen Jiaji, my name is Bei Qingqing, and I'm your current wife. My mother married me to you because she did not want to get involved with the Chen family's marriage. She also did not want to trouble my sister Bei Bei. Tonight is our wedding night. No matter what would happen after that, she had taken a portion of the dowry to treat her adoptive mother's illness, so she still had to make it clear. Chen Jiaji felt a chill, but his mood turned deep and gloomy. His eyes were unfathomable. He cursed in his heart. So Chen Jingji was actually planning to rape his woman just now. Idiot, since you're my woman, how can you be bullied by Chen Jingji? Chen Jiaji looked at Bei Qingqing and suddenly felt some disdain in his heart. Could it be that this woman would not resist? If he had not woken up, he would have been cuckolded, right? Bei Qingqing was speechless and did not know what to say. Then, she grumbled, you've been unconscious for so long, who would be afraid of you? It's normal to be bullied. Chen Jiaji seemed to have heard Bei Qingqing's grumbling and ignored her. He only frowned. All right, go and call Butler Zhang and my special assistant. I have something to tell them. Bei Qingqing only came back to her senses when she heard this. She was here to take care of Chen Jiaji. Now that he had woken up, she naturally had to inform the Chen family immediately. Chapter 6. Ask for a divorce. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6. Ask for a divorce. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Alright, I'll inform them now. Bei Qingqing nodded and immediately went out to inform Butler Zhang about Chen Jiaji's recovery. At the same time, she also informed Butler Zhang that other than the doctor for Chen Jiaji, he should call for an emergency surgeon. After all, Chen Jingji had fallen from a great height and suffered serious injuries. When Butler Zhang heard that the eldest young master had woken up, he was so shocked that he could not close his mouth. No matter what kind of request Bei Qingqing made, he repeatedly agreed. All right. Don't worry, First Lady. I'll immediately call for a doctor. All the servants of the Chen family had been trained and were agile. In less than 2 minutes, they informed Chen Jiaji's mother, special assistant, and the doctors. A group of people walked into Chen Jiaji's room. A vegetable who had been in a coma for many years had woken up on his wedding night. It was magical news, and people wanted to see who the bride was. Chen Jiaji's mother, Li Yilan, was a lady. She was dignified and elegant. However, when she heard that her eldest son had woken up in the middle of the night, she did not bother to freshen up. She immediately changed her clothes and ran to Qin Jiaji's room. When she saw that he was really sitting on the bed, she was both surprised and happy. Son! Son, you're awake. You're really awake. Do you know how much I've missed you all these years? Li Yilan hugged Qin Jiaji and was exceptionally happy. As she spoke, she even shed a few tears. Madam, please calm down. The eldest young master has just woken up. Let the doctor examine him first. Butler Zhang brought the doctor in front of Qin Jiaji respectfully. Li Yilan wiped her tears and nodded. Yes, yes. Let the doctor take a look first. I'm so happy that I'm confused. I don't know what to do. Auntie, it's okay. We can understand. You're doing this because you love Qin Jiaji. Bei Qingqing was a sentimental person. She was also a filial person. Although she had never seen Li Yilan before, seeing how she cared about her son, she could not help but think of her adoptive mother. She could not help but be moved. She walked up to Li Yilan, patted her on the back, and comforted her softly. Li Yilan looked up and saw that Bei Qingqing was a smart and clever girl. She was polite and well-mannered. Li Yilan's good impression of Bei Qingqing multiplied. She originally thought that the Bei family was unwilling to marry their daughter to the son of a vegetable, and that was why they wanted to substitute the marriage candidate at the last minute. Now, it seemed that this substitute girl was very outstanding. Good girl, I want to thank you today. You just got married, and Jiaji woke up. It's you who brought the fortune to our Qin family. Don't worry, if you have any requests in the future, feel free to ask. I will do my best to satisfy them. I will definitely not mistreat you. Li Yilan was very happy and fond of Bei Qingqing. She held her hand to express her gratitude. The doctor examined Qin Jiaji, then he reported to everyone, "All right, madam, first lady, you don't have to worry. Eldest young master's health is very good, but his eyes are still unable to adapt to the sunlight. He just woke up after all. Don't go out for the time being. Pay attention to your recuperation. After a while, everything will be normal." The doctor could not help but nod his head, praising that this was simply a medical miracle. However, Qin Jingji, who had jumped down from the building, did not have such good luck. Both of his legs were shattered and his bones were fractured. At this moment, he was crying bitterly in the surgery. Surrounded by the chaotic sounds in the room, Qin Jiaji speechlessly raised his eyebrows and looked at Bei Qingqing. He had originally wanted this woman to call his special assistant and butler for him. He wanted to understand what happened to his work during this period of time. Who knew that she was actually good at making decisions, and she alarmed the doctor and his mother on her own. She really thought too highly of herself. Idiot, Qin Jiaji looked at Bei Qingqing as he ridiculed. Li Yilan turned her head and said, "You little brat, who are you calling an idiot? Qingqing is such a good girl. She just got married to you, and you already dislike her." Bei Qingqing was shocked. She had just arrived, and the mother and son were already starting a war because of her. Thinking of this, she quickly stopped her. "No, Auntie, Jiaji didn't mean that. I think he's tired. Let him sleep for a while." Li Yilan looked at the doctor. The doctor nodded, indicating that Qin Jiaji indeed needed to rest. Li Yilan then left reluctantly. After the other people left, Qin Jiaji listened to the butler and special assistant report on the situation in the company and at home. He did not have time to rest and immediately went to work. Bei Qingqing felt a little strange. There was really such a person who loved work so much in this world. Compared to him, Bei Qingqing was a complete and utter sloth. "What are you looking at? Go get me a cup of coffee." Qin Jiaji felt a warm gaze sizing him up, making him feel uneasy, so he asked Bei Qingqing to leave. Bei Qingqing was stunned on the spot, but she still sighed and prepared to get Qin Jiaji a cup of coffee. After all, her current status was only that of a nanny. However, Bei Qingqing thought about it. When Qin Jiaji was in a vegetative state, she only needed to scrub his body and massage his muscles. Now that he was awake, he had so many strange demands. Would her life be miserable now? Moreover, now that Qin Jiaji was awake, he probably did not want to have a wife like her. Should she find an opportunity to ask for a divorce? Chapter 7. So Unlucky. You are listening at NovelFull.audio. Chapter 7. So Unlucky. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation, what are you staring at? The coffee in your hand is already getting cold, why aren't you bringing it over? Qin Jiaji looked at Bei Qingqing. After making the coffee, she actually did not bring it over. For some reason, she seemed to have spaced out in front of the desk, not moving at all. That absent-minded look did indeed have the temperament of a fool, but it was also cute and silly. Bei Qingqing's wandering thoughts were pulled back to reality and she quickly placed the coffee on the table. L.C. Alright, go to sleep, fool. Qin Jiaji took a closer look at Bei Qingqing. He could see some fatigue in her eyes. She must be tired after all this. This haggard look made Qin Jiaji's heart ache a little. He subconsciously said, I'll go out to work. Then, he got the butler to push him to the study room. Bei Qingqing felt a warmth in her heart. She did not expect Qin Jiaji, the devil, to have such a heartwarming side. Bei Qingqing was so sleepy that could not care less. She lay on the soft bed and slept through the night. The next morning, she woke up and saw a handsome face. It was Qin Jiaji, but he was still sleeping soundly. She did not know what time he came back from work last night. Bei Qingqing thought about how Qin Jiaji had slept on the same bed as her last night, and how close they were, and she felt a little shy. As soon as Bei Qingqing went downstairs, she met Butler Zhang, who was going upstairs. First Lady, your family is here, Butler Zhang informed her. She was shocked and wondered why Sun Hongmei would come here. However, the timing was just right. Now that Qin Jiaji had woken up, she might not have to stay here anymore. Okay, I got it. Butler Zhang, you go ahead and do your work. I'll go and see them myself. Bei Qingqing smiled and nodded, then turned around and walked into the living room. At that time, Sun Hongmei and her sister were sitting on the sofa, drinking tea. Sister, you're here. How was it? Did you have a good wedding night with brother.in.law last night? Bei could not help but feel smug when she saw Bei Qingqing. Even if Bei Qingqing was Sun Hongmei's biological daughter, she would not act coquettishly just to make her parents like her. As a result, she was used as a substitute to marry that vegetable man in the adopted daughter's stead. Bei's words were pure sarcasm. 2 days ago, you and Qin Jiaji were engaged. Now that I have to replace you to marry him, you actually changed your address to brother.in.law so quickly. You're really half-hearted. Bei Qingqing retorted. She could not stand Bei's attitude either. Bei Qingqing. How could you say that about your own sister? Sun Hongmei heard the sarcasm in Bei Qingqing's words and was instantly unhappy. In her heart, even if Bei Qingqing was her biological child, she did not have any feelings for her. Bei Qingqing frowned and did not want to continue pestering her, she got straight to the point. Mom, since you're here today, I have something to ask you. Didn't you promise me that as long as I'm married, you'll take out 500,000 yuan to buy medicine for my mother? Why did I only receive 200,000 yuan from my card? As soon as he said this, Sun Hongmei's eyes widened, as if someone had stepped on her tail. She pointed at Bei Qingqing and said, what do you mean? You're saying that I'm going back on my promise. You clearly said 200,000 yuan from the start. Don't ask for too much. I've already given you too much favor by letting you marry into a family like the Qin family. Don't be ungrateful. Sun Hongmei did not want to admit her debt, and she retaliated. Bei Qingqing was stunned. She could not believe it. Sun Hongmei was the one that promised her back then, and now she was turning it around and framing her as the bad person. Enough. I already knew that you wouldn't keep your promise. Anyway, Chen Jiaji is awake now. This marriage is now meaningless. Give me the 300,000 yuan that you owe me. I want to leave this place, Bei Qingqing said righteously. Bei rolled her eyes. How could she believe Bei Qingqing's words? Chen Jiaji had been in a coma for many years. How could he wake up just like that? Bei said with disdain, all right, sister, don't lie. Mother and I came here because we care about you, not to laugh at you. Brother. Law is still in a coma, so you don't have to lie. Sun Hongmei also had a look of disdain. Clearly, Chen Jiaji waking up from his coma was a significant matter, so how could there be no news about it? The mother and daughter were obviously here to give her a hard time. After achieving their goal, they promptly left. Bei Qingqing looked at their proud backs and clenched her fists. So unlucky. Bei Qingqing went upstairs and went to the bedroom. She slammed the door shut and sat on the bed angrily. What's wrong? Chen Jiaji was on the balcony. When he heard the noise, he entered the room to check and saw Bei Qingqing's angry face. She looked like a hamster. Chapter 8. I'll give you everything you want. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. I'll give you everything you want. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Bei Qingqing was shocked. She did not expect Chen Jiaji to be on the balcony. She thought that the first thing this workaholic would do when he woke up was to go to work. Chen Jingji could see that Bei Qingqing was shocked to see him. However, he was anxious to ask why Bei Qingqing was angry, so he repeated it again. What's wrong? Speak. Bei Qingqing lowered her head and thought to herself that she should take the opportunity to bring up the divorce. The 200,000 yuan that Sun Hongmei gave her was not enough to buy medicine, and she did not have enough to hire someone to take care of her mother. She needed to be by her mother's side. Thinking of this, she mustered up her courage. She came to Chen Jiaji's side and said, well, Mr. Chen, I think the butler told you about me yesterday. I'm just a substitute wife who married you. I think you like my sister more than me. Besides, you're awake now. You have so many babysitters, and I'm not the only one, so. You want a divorce. Chen Jiaji raised his eyebrows. He did not think that there was a woman in this world who was willing to leave him. Yes, I want a divorce. I want to take care of my mother because my mother is sick. Bei Qingqing clenched her fist and went straight to the point. After all, Chen Jiaji was a smart man. If she beat around the bush, he would be upset too. Bei Qingqing lowered her head and waited for Chen Jiaji's response. After a long time, Chen Jiaji pulled out his phone to make a phone call. What are you doing? Bei Qingqing did not expect Chen Jiaji to ignore her and get busy with other things. Suddenly, she felt angry that she was not taken seriously. After Chen Jiaji's phone call was connected, he said calmly, Butler, give Bei Qingqing 5 million yuan in her card. Is her foster mother in the hospital now? Why didn't you tell me about this last night? Go, find the best care worker and transfer her foster mother to the best hospital for treatment. Take care of her foster mother. All the expenses will be paid from my account. After Chen Jiaji gave his instructions, he hung up the phone. Then, he looked at Bei Qingqing's face and said, all right, I've solved the problem you were worried about. Do you still want a divorce? He asked. Bei Qingqing's eyes widened. She did not expect that he would help her so readily. They did not even know each other well. Moreover, he had given her so much money. 5 million yuan was enough to pay for her mother's medical expenses for 5 years. What do you mean by this? Are you doing all this just to prevent me from divorcing you? Bei Qingqing did not understand, and her tone was full of disbelief. Chen Jiaji had clearly despised her ever since he woke up. Why would he be so insistent when she asked for a divorce? Chen Jiaji sneered as if he could see through Bei Qingqing's thoughts at a glance. He explained plainly, "Don't worry, I don't like you, and I don't have time to talk about love. We just got married, and if I divorce you right away, my mother will be worried. She seems to like you very much. Of course, there's another reason. I really need a personal nanny now. Didn't you say that you're here to take care of me? I'll take that money as your nanny's salary. I hope that you'll do your best to take care of me in the future." Chen Jiaji deliberately stretched his tone, which sounded a little flirtatious. Bei Qingqing was a little shy as she heard these words, and her face immediately turned red. However, she did not know how to refute him. She was here to take care of him, so it was natural for her to do her duty. However, why did it sound so ambiguous? At the same time, the news that Chen Jiaji had woken up finally reached the Bei family's villa. Bei heard from her father that Chen Jiaji had taken over the Chen Corporation again. Her face was full of disbelief. She did not expect Bei Qingqing's words to be true. Bei felt extremely regretful. If she had known earlier, she would have told Bei Qingqing to leave Chen Jiaji's side. She still had a chance. "Mom! Call sister back quickly. You can't let her stay by Jiaji's side. Jiaji is mine." Bei stomped her feet with an unwilling look. Chapter 9. Send my men to escort her. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Send my men to escort her. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. Sun Hongmei knew that it was best if Bei could marry Chen Jiaji. She quickly comforted her. All right. My dear daughter, don't worry. Daddy and Mommy love you the most. Now that Chen Jiaji has woken up, how could they possibly let your sister be with him? I'll make a call now and ask your sister to come back." Bei Yunsong also kept sighing as he stood at the side. He had originally wanted to use Bei Qingqing to substitute Bei in order to save her, but he did not expect that Bei Qingqing would benefit from it by accident. This was outrageous. Sun Hongmei called and said that Bei Yunsong was sick and wanted Bei Qingqing to go home immediately to take care of him. If she did not come back, it would be unfilial and unforgivable. Bei Qingqing hung up the phone, and her expression was very bad. Chen Jiaji saw the embarrassment in her expression. "Well, I'm sorry. My mother asked me to go home. She said that my father is sick. Can I go back?" Chen Jiaji had done a favor for Bei Qingqing, and in return, she had agreed to take care of Chen Jiaji's daily life. Now that she wanted to leave, she naturally had to ask for his permission. Chen Jiaji looked at Bei Qingqing's expression. He knew that the Bei family did not treat her very well. Naturally, he did not want her to go back. However, she still had to resolve this matter. The sooner it was resolved, the sooner Bei Qingqing would be free. "Okay, then you can go back. However, you have to come back before tonight. You still have to take care of me, and you have to help me wash up." Chen Jiaji cared about Bei Qingqing, but he deliberately said that he would wait for her to take care of him. It was his unique way of being romantic. Bei Qingqing nodded. Although she knew that going back would not be good, she still decided to go. Even if it was to make things clear, and cut ties with them, it would be fine. "Butler Zhang, take my men to protect the First Lady. We have to escort her back before nightfall. If even a strand of hair is missing, you will all receive punishment." Chen Jiaji looked at Bei Qingqing's back as she left. Then, he instructed the butler to bring his men to follow and protect Bei Qingqing in secret. Otherwise, Chen Jiaji would not be at ease if she went back alone. When Bei Qingqing arrived at the Bei family's villa, she stood outside the door. She could hear Bei's coquettish rebuke from outside. "Father! You must not let sister off. I was the one who wanted to marry brother Jiaji, but she married him instead. Brother Jiaji woke up and she didn't even tell me. She's trying to take over brother Jiaji and let me die alone. I will become a lonely old lady, and no one will want me. Bei Bei's usual trick was to pretend to be pitiful. Be good, Bei Bei. Don't worry. You are daddy's favorite. I will never let you suffer. When Bei Qingqing comes back, I will definitely teach her a good lesson. Bei Yunsong said unhappily. Teach me a lesson. Why do you have to teach me a lesson? Bei Qingqing said as she pushed the door open to enter. She did not understand what she had done wrong. Was it not them who insisted on her taking care of the vegetable Qin Jiaji? Now that Qin Jiaji had woken up, and suddenly, she's the ungrateful wench that stole her sister's marriage. Bastard! How can you talk to your elders? Bei Yunsong slammed the table and stood up. He blew his beard and glared at Bei Qingqing. What do you think I'm going to teach you? Qin Jiaji has woken up, why didn't you tell your family immediately? You should know that now that Qin Jiaji has woken up, you can't stay by his side. Instead, you should let your sister marry him and enjoy her life. Bei Yunsong only had Bei Bei's interests in mind. When he thought about how Bei Qingqing was better off than Bei Bei, he felt uncomfortable. In the morning, Bei Bei and mother went to the Qin family home to humiliate me. Didn't I tell them that Qin Jiaji is awake and that I want a divorce? You didn't believe me at the time, but now you've come to denounce me. Bei Qingqing had no intention of backing down. Chapter 10. They were very loving. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. They were very loving. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. At this point, Sun Hongmei and Bei Bei's faces turned green. Indeed, Bei Qingqing had already told them, but they did not believe her. All right. What's the use of saying that? Now that we know that Qin Jiaji has woken up, you should leave the Qin family quickly and let your sister move in. Sun Hongmei hurriedly interrupted Bei Qingqing and demanded righteously. You. Why are you doing this? I'm clearly your biological daughter. I've been lost for 18 years and haven't received any love from you. Now that I've returned, you actually don't care about me at all. Instead, you're making things difficult for me. For Bei Bei's benefit, you're willing to sacrifice everything that I have. Bei Qingqing's eyes were bloodshot. She could not understand why her biological parents were doing this to her. This was not the only time she felt that it was unfair. Ever since she returned to this family, Bei Bei had always been one step ahead of her. Beov, why? You still dare to ask why? Have you ever shown any filial piety after you returned to this family? Can you be like Bei Bei and make us happy? All your money has been used to treat that foster mother's illness. Do we even have a place in your heart? Bei Qingqing, it's you who doesn't treat us like family. We don't value you at all. Cut the crap. If you don't leave the Qin family, don't blame me for finding someone to cause a ruckus at your foster mother's hospital. If that happens, your foster mother's treatment will be delayed. Bei Yunsong knew that Bei Qingqing's foster mother was her lifeline. If he used her foster mother to threaten her, she would listen obediently. You. Are you threatening me? Bei Qingqing was already used to this kind of treatment from this family. In order to protect Bei Bei's interests, they would do anything. After Bei Qingqing returned to this family, the unfair treatment she received had already caused her to feel a chill down her spine. She no longer had any attachment to this family. Now that her adoptive mother had already been transferred to another hospital, she was no longer under Bei Yunsong's control. Bei Qingqing had to make things clear now. What? You've gone against me. How dare you talk to me like that? Bei Yunsong did not expect Bei Qingqing to be so unyielding this time around. She did not show any signs of weakness. This kind of behavior angered Bei Yunsong. He reached out his hand and was about to slap Bei Qingqing. Bei Qingqing was quick-witted and dodged his slap. Her eyes turned cold as she imitated Qin Jiaji's tone, and she said, "If you want to treat me like this, don't blame me for being unkind. Now, I'm Qin Jiaji's legitimate wife. I won't leave. I definitely won't go along with your wishes. Also, I won't return to this family ever again. It's best if you sever all ties with me now." Bei Qingqing had prepared her speech long ago, and she said it quickly. She turned around and prepared to leave. "Stop. Damn girl, how dare you talk to your father like that?" Sun Hongmei grabbed Bei Qingqing. He did not expect that she would be so powerful after being by Qin Jiaji's side for a few days. Bei Qingqing wanted to shake off Sun Hongmei's hand, but before she could leave, she heard people entering through the door. The sound of leather shoes stepping on the marble floor was crisp and loud. A moment later, a man in a suit appeared in the Bei family's living room. This man gave off an aura similar to Qin Jiaji, but he was still far inferior to Qin Jiaji's intimidating aura. The man said respectfully, "First lady, it's getting late. Young master instructed me to bring you home." "Okay." Bei Qingqing did not expect Qin Jiaji to send someone over. She was a little overwhelmed by the favor, but she still agreed. Bei Yunsong's family of 3 looked at the scene in front of them. They looked at each other in disbelief. How was this possible? Bei Qingqing had only been married for 1 or 2 days, but Qin Jiaji took her so seriously.